the IEEE Young Professional Silicon Valley Startup Special Interest Group. I'm the current chair for this group, and I will start out with a little introduction of IEEE. We have IEEE today has about 400,000 members in about 160 countries with 39 technical societies. It holds about 1,600 conferences and has a lot of technical documents with 170 plus top cited periodicals. So IEEE is the leading most cited publisher in people filing patents. So it's magazine Spectrum is a peer review magazine. It's highly regarded. So we formed the IEEE Startups Special Interest Group because there's a lot of interest in founding startup, and we have a lot of actually very successful IEEE entrepreneurs who have built very successful startups. And so this group is set up to foster a network of experience and also young entrepreneurs who can share ideas and best practices and collaborate in startup opportunities. We run programs such as this monthly webinars, and we'll be starting up a mentor-mentee matching programs with some of our experienced members and also young entrepreneurs. And once or twice a year, we also organize a startup pitch competitions. For more information about the IEEE Startup Special Interest Group, you can go to this website and to join the mailing list for upcoming events or to look at the previous recordings. So all the webinars are recorded. You can go to the website. You can also join the mailing list to get notifications. So next, I would like Wimbo to introduce our speaker, Jing.
Hi everyone, it's Wimbo from IEEE Young Professionals, and it's my pleasure to introduce Jing, who's my lifelong partner in crime. Jing founded Vector Angels in 2019 to enable collaborations between like-minded, impact-focused companies and investors. And among the verticals that Vector's Angel invested in includes new mobility, sustainable energy, sustainable materials, and healthcare. Jing's experience include investment manager with Goldwind Innovation Capital and a clean tech researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and entrepreneurship program manager at the UC Berkeley Citrus Foundry. In this presentation, Jing will be leveraging her past experience as well as her experience and expertise with Vector Angel to talk about how to crack deep tech innovation from a investor's perspective. In her spare time, Jing is also the president of Energy Innovation Network, and she holds a MS from Cornell University on sustainable design and bachelor on energy system engineering from the University of Toronto. Without further ado, let's welcome Jing.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the introduction and invitation, Wimbo. Let me just get it going. All right. Yeah, so I will start to share my slide. Yeah, everyone can see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so just a brief introduction of myself. I think Wimbo has already done a pretty good overview. So I'm an investor and also a policymaker. I also work in the corporate eye on the investment. So that gave me a pretty good overview of how to view a startup from the investor's perspective. My entire career have been focused on sustainability, clean tech, renewable energy. That's my special special focus area. But I've also invested companies in healthcare space and also incubated companies in other deep technology areas. So I'm happy to share some of my learning experiences. Okay, so just a super brief intro of Vector's Angel. This is an angel community syndicate that focus on venture-backed positive companies that also provide a very good financial return to investors. The two areas we cover, sustainability and healthcare. If there are any startups who wants to raise, there's a link at the vectors.earth to raise money. So Okay, so let's go back to the topic of deep technology. Today, we want to give you an overview of what is the typical pathway for deep technology go-to-market, and what it look like for you to take on this something you want to do. First, we want to say it's a very difficult journey, and why is it so hard? This is a pretty famous graph that used by the clean technology sector, because a lot of the companies we invest, or the breakthrough technologies that can actually bring a positive impact to the world are deep technology. So that's why we pay especially a lot more attention to how to get those technology to market in order to save our planet. So there are 3 valley of death, in a more academic way of saying that. The first one is from research to development. The second one is from development to demonstration. And the third one is from demonstration to deployment. Every stage you will need money, resources, partners to get you to the next stage of funding or milestone, or whatever you're looking for your own journey. And in the past, all those value of death means that you don't have money, you don't have resources, you don't have people to help you. So those are the 3 most common gaps that company actually unfortunately cannot make to the next step. But there are a lot of new players currently coming into the market to make the deep technology startup having a relatively simpler life than before. So I will go through those resources with you as well. So continue the discussion on why is it even harder for deep technology. I mean, doing a startup is really hard. There are 1,000 ways a startup cannot make to the next stage. But deep technology company, they are especially more difficult because you're typically starting with the technology, not starting with the market. Say, oh, I have awesome market, and I'm looking for a solution. But in many of the deep technology companies, founders have a good technology. Many of them are spin out from university. You spend your 5 years doing research, and finally you get a breakthrough. You think your technology is the best in the universe, and now you think everyone will be able to buy it. However, that's really not the case. When you have the excellent technology, that's only the first thing that could potentially be interesting to the customers, but unfortunately, not the best technology often wins the market. It's really the combination of technology, team founder, timing, and customer acquisition capabilities. How are you maneuvering into those markets actually make a startup very successful. And another very unfortunate factor is that when using your technology is already best in the market, there are other people having spending like years doing their own research, thinking of their technologies better as well. So take an example of energy storage technology. Right now we see lithium-ion battery everywhere, in our phones, in cars, in EVs. But 10 years ago, when lithium-ion technology was super expensive, there are a lot of new startups with competing technology try to beat lithium-ion, try to be cheaper, try to target this huge market of potentially the EV boom. But unfortunately, other technologies, their price drop didn't overcompete with lithium-ion. And as what you see today, lithium-ion technology is really taking the lead, and there are a lot of companies with alternative technology that didn't make it until today. So here is another graph. This is from MIT research. It's a data from 2006 to 2011. The data is a little bit outdated, but it still speaks of why it's very difficult to invest in deep technology company. As you can see, material chemical process based or hardware integration company, they just return almost like nothing to the investors on average. Versus software companies, the return is awesome. So that's why you see a lot more venture capital firms in the market doing investment in software, and very little that do hardware or deep technology related investment. It requires a lot of expertise to get it right. And people, many of the venture investors, they don't know how to handle deep technology companies. So they, if it's not their sweet spot, they just directly skip it and go for the easier software and service type of investment. Okay, so how do I be successful in a deep technology startup? So you want to start with several questions. First, do I have a good technology that overcompete with existing ones? That's actually the first thing to get started if you are doing a deep technology company. Maybe you're starting the race with other competing technologies, but you have to be at least at the same starting point with other competing technologies. And the second one is, if this great technology, for whatever reason, it works perfectly, is the market ready for it? So there are, many interesting and very nice breakthrough technologies. They got onto the market, but the market is not ready to take it. So that's also a reason the company doesn't make it, or the manufacturing is not ready, or there are many things that influence the company's success rate. And what is a sales cycle and process? This is something that very early stage deep tech founders, they don't really think about it. When they just embark the journey, they're like, I just want to make it to the market. I want to take this thing from the lab to commercial palette. But sometimes, doing a sales, sales of your product into the customer's value chain is a really long journey, and it can take a long time. And the process is also very difficult. For example, in the vehicle industry, sometimes the sales cycle, it can be years. So people need to be very aware of this kind of sales cycle when you're planning your budget, when you're planning your fundraise. So you will be able to make your company will be able to make it until you actually find a customer willing to pay. And then the next one will be, what are the continued R&D that you will need to do in order to hit the market? So the initial technology that you come up in your lab is really not going to be market ready. So when we're thinking of market ready, means it can be manufactured at scale. And it needs to be a lot cheaper. It needs to be standardized. So you're like, oh, I have this one awesome technology that's successful in lab. That's, you're making it successful only in lab at this very special circumstances. Can you replicate the result very nicely in scale and really cheap? And also, what are the resources you can get for yourself in order to move your technology to market? This includes financial and non-financial resources. So when people are thinking of, oh, I'm going to market, so the first thing people are thinking is, where do I raise money? Raising money is hard, but it's not that hard, to be honest. There are many other things that are hard. So just be prepared for that. But non-financial resources are also helpful. Sometimes it means getting your stuff in commercial manufacturing facilities, or get access to better labs, or getting access to experts, customers, and so on. Those are very important. And also, a very important question for you to ask yourself is this company venture backable? Which means if your technology or the business you want to do fit into a typical venture capital model, which means after you become successful, your product can be replicated. The same product can be sold to many people, can scale. If you're the kind of company that you will be pretty good self-sustaining yourself, making a pretty good margin, you'll probably want to rethink if you want to go down the venture funding yourself, or if your company is venture backable. So think from the shoe of the venture investors. Okay. Yeah, so I will talk about some of the non-equity funding resources. Example number one, I-Corps program is a program that's in many of the US departments. So National Science Foundation have the I-Corps program, Department of Energy has I-Corps program, and some other US department have that too. This is a program especially suitable if you are a technology breakthrough in universities or labs. You can actually apply for this grant, allow you to take 6 weeks off, and all you do is to talk to potential customers in your market. Because when you invent this technology, you think, oh, my technology can be used for here. But in reality, after you're talking to 100 people, that may help you to understand, oh, your product may be not suitable for this type of customer, but for other. It's a very important process before you actually spend all your money envisioning a customer that's suitable for you. Other non-dilutive funding, SBIR, if you're working on some of the most frontier technologies, this government grant is available. Department of Energy, Department of Defense, NIH, NSF, National Institute of Health, they all have this grant. You can apply for the phase 1 of the grant. If you are doing a really good job, you can apply for phase 2. Those grants are like $1 million, $2 million range, so that can help your company to develop your product pretty far until you actually need to talk to ventures. And right now, it's actually similar expectation from the ventures. If you have already got SBIR funding, at least your technology have been vetted by the government, which makes the venture investors more comfortable continue talking to you, knowing that they don't need to take too much of the technology risk backing your company. Sometimes, however, there are strings attached with those funding. Some of the funding will require you to manufacture your product in the US, or at least a portion that you're selling in US. And some of the funding may require you to hit certain milestones of your technology specs. Otherwise, the government may take the funding back if you're not meeting some of the criteria. So read it really carefully of each of the funding requirement, the request for proposal before you actually apply for funding, because that could have influenced export control or other areas that you don't realize when you take the government funding. But however, it's a very important resource for you to keep an eye on. State government can have grants too. So if you're in the energy area, for example, the California government have this call seed program for companies in the technology readiness level like 2 or 3. You can apply for up to $600,000 in grant funding, and they have 20 to 30 companies every cohort of the call seed program. This funding is also not really having that much strength attached, but you have to be a California company. There are also other foundations that provide non-dilutive funding. For example, Gates Foundation, Hewlett Foundation, Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, as well. So keep an eye on them. They're non-dilutive. So a very good way to get your company started. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I have a typo. It's a prize money. It's not the prize money. So industry, they organize competitions too. If you win their prize, they give you certain amount of money as award money. But the most important thing is that you actually get into the scouting eye for those corporates as potential customers. So if you have time and you want to go down that road, so pay attention to some of the competitions the corporates put together. Extreme Challenge, this is actually a competition put out by some really rich individuals in Silicon Valley, you know, like for example, the Tim Draper associate, and also Samsung CEO here. They put together a Extreme Challenge. You can also get funding if you win. Okay, so next one is angel investor family offices. So angel investors and family offices play a very important role for early stage companies. There are increasingly more angel investment appetites for companies at the early stage. And what angel investors are looking for are typically high risk, but return also need to be high. And also what the decision for them to invest or not often attached to their personal preference. It could be like the best company, but if they don't like the company or they don't care about the direction you do, you're not really getting funding from angel investors. There are, you know, many different kind of angel investment groups in the United States. Vector Angel is only focusing on impact investing and only focusing on those two areas. But there are other, you know, angel groups. For example, Sandhill Angels. There are special area groups like Life Science Angels. And there are alumni kind of angel groups like Stanford Angel, Berkeley Angel. Almost every single university have their own angel network. So go turn to them. But every single angel network does things a little bit differently. Some of them are, you know, the angel investors make decisions individually. They have a lot of money. It's kind of like Shark's Tank. They look at your companies. They're like, I like it or I don't like it. And they give you money or not. And you know, in Vectors Angel, we have our own deal team. We do completely just venture type of investment due diligence before we actually call for a syndicate, which in this way we make the process a lot more streamlined and faster than many other angel groups. But every angel group operates in their own way. If you want to engage with angels and family offices, that's a really great way to start your business. As far as I know, there are some of the companies, they raise their entire Series C or partial their Series A from angel investors. Okay. Next one will be venture capital. So when I say about venture capital, it means you know, institutional VCs or corporate venture capital, or you know, family office kind of venture capital. There are differences between all three types. I will go into details. When you're raising money from VCs, you want to think from the perspective for the VC. You need to get the money back for them, right? The VCs are giving you money in hoping like one day your company become very successful, and they can sell your company to another company, or you go IPO, or whatever way for them to get the money back. Typical criteria is that your company needs to make at least 9 times return at the early stage for a VC to even take a look at you. Software company now have an average of 100 times return from seed or Series A stage, but for hard tech, the return multiple is a lot lower, which means the venture it will be a lot more picky when coming into selecting companies. When you actually start to raise venture funding, you better have some LOIs, letter of intent, or MOUs with potential customers. It's going to be very helpful to demonstrate there is a market for it. VCs conduct due diligence by calling your customers. So if you already have some of the attractions, show them in writing. You can think from the venture capital show, like you can calculate return multiples yourself. For example, you look into other companies that have been exit recently, those went IPO, what is the return multiple that's for that company that could be similar for your company as well. You can do a simple analysis. One common mistake that early stage startup do is that they don't pay too much attention to their dilution when they raise their early stage safe from investors, because safe is not a price round. You just sign a piece of paper with not a set number of your valuation, but when you actually enter a price round, when a financial VC give you a price, all the safe convert, and you realize your company share have gone down from 80% to 30% just in one round. I have seen a lot of startup founders make that mistakes. They don't pay attention when they're raising, and all of a sudden they lose control of the company just after their Series C fundraise. So don't make that mistake. So be very careful about the safe and the valuation cap you put on it. The next thing to watch for is to find the right type of money. Know your VC, what is their return expectation, and what can they do for you. For deep technology companies, I recommend you look into those kind of patient capital, which means they are not really rushed to get their money back in 10 years. Breakthrough Energy Venture set up by Bill Gates, they invest anything in clean technology that can have a breakthrough impact in human society. This is a 20-year life horizon fund, so they don't care. Fidelity Deeptech fund, they also don't care because it's Fidelity's money. They don't need to return the capital in 10 years to their investor. It is also good, money to look for. MIT Engine, this is also 20 years. Family offices, also many of the family offices don't care about return in 10 years because it's their own money, they can do whatever they want. So those kind of patient capital are very helpful for deep technology startups. So watch out for them. Corporate venture capital are also very good source of capital. They also bring a strategic view. The corporate invest in your company could be customers down the road or collaborators. So start the conversation with corporate venture early because they do move a lot slower compared to financial venture. If you want to invite them to your capital, means your company, don't hesitate to contact them earlier down the road. They see a lot of companies in your space. By talking to them, you also know your competitors a little bit better, and what are the industry take for your technology and product. And if you're raising from a traditional venture capital, institutional venture capital, you realize you will need to know, like, traditionally venture capital have a 10-year horizon, which means they need to return the money to their investors within 10 years. Some of the funds are even have even shorter horizons, some, like, 5 years for later stage venture is possible as well. What are the focus areas? So know your investor is very important. Some of the big name investors like Sequoia Capital, sometimes they're way too busy. They don't have too much time to help you. It's good to have their brand name on your cap table, but you want to find those venture bring resources and industry expertise to help you. Okay. Next one will be accelerators. So there are a lot more accelerators popping up recently, helping deep technology companies. UC Berkeley SkyTech, they invest in deep technology companies. You can get access to UC Berkeley resources, including professors, some of the lab resources, but the valuation they are giving you is very, very low. So if you want to go to the accelerator program in UC Berkeley, you'll need to think about, giving out your equity for a pretty cheap price. Second role program is the deep technology incubator program in the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. They also branch out into a NGO called Activate, and now they're having offices in Boston. They're also taking electronics companies as well. They give you grants and they give you 2-year access to the national lab facilities. You are giving 80K per year salary for 2 years, so you don't need to worry about feeding yourself while you're developing your technology. This is a really great resources if you're doing your deep tech companies, but the selection criteria is also super high, so you need to be really doing something outstanding. IndieBio is another accelerator. They focus on biosciences or anything related to biology. They also give you a pretty low valuation for their investment, but you do get access to the resources, some of the lab, and then most importantly is really the exposure to the wider investment community. Silicon Catalyst, they only focus on semiconductor. Those are just examples of accelerators. There are a lot more out there. So use those accelerators as your resources as well. Deep technology companies, they often need to get access to lab facilities. So there are some examples on how you can do that without you have to buy your lab facilities upfront. Called Testbed program also focus on energy-related technologies. You can apply and get access to the lab facilities in the UC system that's typically serving the technology readiness level from 5 to 7. And then it's you're getting paid by the government to use UC facility, so it's pretty nice. National Lab also have a small business voucher program, similarly to Called Testbed. If you need to use some of the high caliber lab facilities in the national lab, you can look for this information and apply and get a voucher here. Molecular Foundry is just an example in the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. They have many facilities. You can think about in chemistry. Just put in the context of our audience in IEEE, they have a clean room you can get access to. You don't need to apply for any of the voucher program. You just apply to the molecular foundry directly. They have a pretty high acceptance rate, 70%, but you have to publish your results into scientific papers. That's the only string attached. Collaborate with corporate is a very important way for you to actually know your potential customer and get yourself ready. Corporates are always scouting innovation to collaborate with. So you could be considered as a customer, or you can be a company that they can acquire you down the road. It's also a good opportunity for you to get some of the MOUs or LOIs from the corporate. So talk to the scouting people, corporate venture, for to know how your technology is suitable down the road. And don't worry too much about what corporate learn about what you do. Some of the startups think, oh, my stuff is the best. I want to make sure the corporate have no idea what I'm doing. But in reality, is corporate moves so slowly. Even if they know you're doing the best thing ever, it's so difficult for them to make a move, change their direction. That's why corporate, they like to buy startups if they really want to move into a new direction. It's much easier to buy you out than doing things in their own in many cases. So don't worry too much. You just don't need to tell people about your core intellectual property, but what they're doing in general, you want to find those corporate as potential downstream customers. Here is a quick case study of a startup company that spin out from the UC Berkeley Citrus Foundry incubator when I worked there. IA Labs is a photonics startup that's solving the power and I/O bandwidth and bottleneck problem. I'm not going to talk about the company itself, but its journey for going to market. When the team was formed, the core technology was from a joint research project from MIT, UC Berkeley, and a few other institutions. There's an MBA student saw their technology, think it's very interesting, and partnered with the technology team. The MBA student served as CEO at the moment and decided to take this company further down the road. The company got the SBIR phase 1-2, further developed their technology. They joined the Citrus Foundry incubator in UC Berkeley, received investment from the affiliated fund, and they got access to the clean room in UC Berkeley as well, with a super cheap student rate instead of a corporate rate. They went on to do fundraising from Founder Fund and a few other ventures. Those are introduction put out by UC Berkeley. They work with Global Foundry to pilot their chip, and it actually works. The chip function really well. And they also went on to do demo project with potential customers. They finished raising their 35 million Series B by the end of last year from a lot of venture capital firms and a corporate venture. This is a pretty simple snapshot of a deep technology company, how they came into formation and eventually get out of there. Okay, so I think that's most thing I want to cover, and just I want to shout out for our Vectors Angel Deal Day that's coming up on May the 4th. It's not a demo day, it's really a screening day for the companies. So if you're interested, you can apply.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I think we just our speaker's laptop had an issue. I'm going to pass my microphone to her.
Yeah, so just to finish it up, yeah, so if you're interested in fundraising from Vectors Angel, submit your deck here. If you're interested in doing angel investment, you can also join our deal day. We're happy to have you. And we also have an investment fellow program. If you're interested in joining us as a deal day, as a potential investor, you're also welcome to apply to join our fellowship program. This is the fellow program. We're just going to open up the new application very soon. The next cohort will be starting in July. Yeah, that's all. Thank you all for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Hi, my name is Jody. I have a quick question on the Vectors Earth Fellowship.
Yes, sure.
Is there any type of equity that would need to be left out on the table if someone gets through the fellowship?
It's a fellowship. Is basically you're just an investor, so it's a more like an investor apprenticeship.
Oh, it's for investors, not for
It's-
entrepreneurs. Okay.
Yeah, it's for investors.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other people have questions?
Can you see the chat, Jin? There's the question. Shall I read to you?
Let me see the chat. Sorry.
So I read it out to you. What is your opinion of nuclear fusion startups? What do you think is the chance of being successful? I've heard about 2 or 3 of them. One in LA raised close to $1 billion.
I really want to see a nuclear fusion startup become successful. They will solve a lot of energy issues we face here. But as you know, nuclear fusion is a really complicated technology, and your energy produced out of from nuclear fusion better be more than the energy you put in. I think it takes 30 years for the Livermore lab actually reach the breakthrough point, like the balance point, and there are a lot more other startups trying to get onto it. I really hope to see one of them become successful, but I'm not going to give you a timeline on when. I guess I already told you 30 years for Livermore Lab to get to where we are right now, but I hope down the road the speed will be a lot faster.
I have a question. It's Joe again. So I'm working on a drone startup for freight deliveries using hydrogen fuel cells. If I have to make a list of all of the deep tech investors investing in the drone space or like new energy space, what is like a good place to get this list from somewhere? Let's say Crunchbase or one of your websites.
My recommendation is you can actually search similar companies. For example, Zhongxi is a drone company. Recently, they're raising their Series A right now. You can take a look who invested in their company. There are some hard tech focus VC, for example, Lux Capital. They are specialized in doing deep technology. Yeah. And then you can search who invested.
Yeah, in addition to Crunchbase, there's also Traction, TRAXTION. There's also PitchBook that you can check.
Yeah, PitchBook is not free. Just saying. But just search.
Yeah, Crunchbase also has Crunchbase Pro, which has more information. But sometimes when you just Google with Crunchbase or PitchBook and the name of the company, there might be articles that actually pop up that you don't have to subscribe to the paid version to get the information.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then I happen to be a driver of a hydrogen fuel cell car, so you might also want to look at the investor in the hydrogen fuel side rather than only on the drone side, because I think most of the drone application more for no, I think they still a battery-based solution, but I understand for certain type of application, the hydrogen fuel is a I think more attractive alternative in powering the drones.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's really cool that you drive a hydrogen fuel cell based car. I've never met anyone. So
So in California, I think the California by law, they have to support a mix of green energy power vehicles. So it's not all electric. So, but the build out of hydrogen fueling station is the challenge, because Tesla built out the charging stations to map it from East Coast to the West Coast. So it's a private investment to build out the network, and now they also have a much bigger network. But hydrogen fuel cell actually is also only available in I think 3 states. So I think California is one of them. So you cannot actually drive out of the state. So there's a lot of limitation to that you might also want to check into the regulation side.
Hydrogen fuel cell regulations in California.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Sasha Sergeyev, and I'm working on very interesting technology which allows to create robots much faster and much more interesting with biomimetic approach and artificial muscles and machine learning. So we are in early stage. We got first seed funding, and of course we are very interested in finding more financial sources and maybe advisors, etc. So what would you recommend for us?
I think it's a very general question. So depending on what you want to do, right? So if you're working on robotics, and then you are still, open for raising funding, check out IndieBio. Their fund invest in biology plus robotic. It sounds like you're touching the both of the angles. If you're doing robotics, you probably want to do manufacturing, which hacks capital. They have the resources in Shenzhen, China, which is very good for prototyping robotics with an extremely cheap price. So check out those resources and really ask yourself what do you need down the road. Or sometimes if you don't know what you need down the road, talk to investors, tell them what you are working on, and get feedback from them.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so someone is asking about video recording. I wonder if the organizer wants to make the recording available. I'm okay with it.
So the webinars are usually recorded, and their slides are also available on the Startup SIG website. We send it out. I sent it out once before, but there's another question about when the slides will be available. So I'll resend it back out to say that you can check out the. I think in my introduction slide, it has the link to the Startup Special Interest Group's website. I'll post it again on the on chat.
Okay, is that all? Questions? Feel free to reach out if you have more questions or want to fundraise or want to work with us in any way.
So there's a question I asked and I answer for you in the chat about your website, Vectors Angel. So the website is www.vectors.earth, EARTH.
Yeah.
And Jing, you want to also give out your contact information or just go to your website to contact you?
Here is my Vectors email. You can contact me here. If you're fundraising, there's a link on the website for you to submit your deck. If we're interested, we'll reach out back to you.
Okay, if there's no more question, we'll close this webinar, and thanks for everyone joining. And we'll see you next time.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Wimbo, do you want to stop? Should I stop the recording now?